Chat from the Deep. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chat from the Deep, our weekly live stream post-session discussion. We talk about what just happened during D&D. The chat for session 41. So if you've not watched that session yet, please go do that, because there will be spoilers. I'm your DM, Eric, and joining me, we have Gottwald's player, Chris.
Hello!
And Max player, Raymond.
Hello.
Raymond already confided to me before that didn't really have a plan, necessarily, going into the session.
Nope.
Which means I also didn't have a plan. We just let the I think we said it best. It was the initiative kind of set the tone.
Yeah.
First, which I think I knew that was my one plan. I guess I'll say that is I was like, we got to throw everybody in initiative because that's the best way to be organized when it comes to these.
Otherwise, us talking about like what ifs for half an hour, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that got the ball rolling with Savra winning the initiative handily. And did try to start negotiations, to be fair.
I'm actually I want to hear you talk about that because at one point you said like maybe we might have solved this with a conversation, but as far as I can tell, you never gave us that option because we tried to talk to them and they just ghosted us. So I want in your head like how would that have worked out conversationally wise?
Yeah. I don't think I said it this session. I think I said it last session, or maybe last chat about solving the conversation in terms of the start of the session.
Yeah.
Once we got into it, I think the situation was they were definitely pinned back. She knew from her intel that you guys are the enemy and you're dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And
wait, how?
Well,
Tentrix, maybe?
I actually don't know how far I should tell you guys that, but Callus did tell you that the pirate captains were all either sent out to loot places or were actively hunting you all. And to emphasize that point, one of the pirate captains attacked you all in the tavern.
Yeah.
So you guys have definitely risen in your infamy of the things you've done. So you are a known quantity among the area. So you are on the top 10 most wanted list for sure.
People know our faces.
Yeah.
Or drawings of us.
Pretty recognizable, yeah. So you've got intel on them, and they've basically got intel on you guys as well.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a factor. Obviously, what Mac was saying about how he left the team was a factor, and then the fact that they were in fight or flight mode, they were trying to flight, that didn't work, and I think she is a warrior at heart and definitely not a negotiator.
Yeah.
So her attitude was basically she was going to fight unless you guys did something remarkably compliant, I guess.
Like trick her into partying up.
I talked about this during the crafting stream, and there would have technically been a way to get out of this without a fight, but it was going to be extremely difficult for you all to do. It was not going to be in your favor. Like a lot of times when you guys have social encounters, you're meeting someone who's neutral, maybe even amiable towards you. This person is not. They are already predisposed to not trust you, not work with you, and fight you anyway.
Yeah.
And you've already technically stopped them, right? Like the fog cloud went up, they were trying to escape, but then an entangle went up and stopped them. So they've already seen that as a hostile action. So yeah, when Savra tried to reach out diplomatically, it was a very like threatening way that she spoke. Basically in terms of, hey, you need to stand down or I'll kill you all.
Which is the only way that Savra knows how to.
Which is the only way she knows how to discuss. And again, part of this is, she was the first to react, so that's her prerogative. But that obviously did not sit well with the Stormmain either, who is not going to take that very well. She's not going to be cowed.
Right. Which is what Savra was trying to do.
Right. Sure. Yeah, so that was not going to work with her at all. It might have definitely worked if you were, fighting a band of goblins or some other kind of situation, but that was just not going to work here. She was not going to meet a wall of force with like meekness or contrition or anything like that. She was
right.
She was basically going to fight. And then once that little bit kind of broke down, Savra immediately launched a very devastating AoE attack
against who knows what.
Yeah.
It was just splashes. So.
Yeah, it was just splashes, and she
just blew everything up.
That was the other thing, is that you guys couldn't even really see each other. So you make a good point, Ray. So part of it was, I think, that the Storming was trying to be quiet and maybe just think like this whole thing was gonna because they're thinking like we got Pass Without Trace on. Yes, they entangled us, but let's just stay quiet and shut up and see if we can maybe get out of this still. Again, still going between fight or flight mode. So thank you for bringing that up as context. That was a definitely important part of my decision making. And then
Yeah, and that's why I didn't say anything either. I was like,
right,
maybe
because you're thinking, okay, let's
sneak
just
out.
hide. Yeah. So, which the spell did say you don't have to see it. Technically, I'm sure somebody in a comment will be like, well, they blah blah blah, but it is what it is. A lot of spells do say you have to specifically see the point. That one technically did not.
Yeah.
So she unleashed that one, and that one was a big, devastating AoE that downed Mac, and I believe killed one of her people outright. From then on, there was basically no way to do diplomacy.
There's no, yeah.
And I think that's what irritated me is you guys kept trying to do that, and I was like, guys.
Well, no, what irritated us a little bit is when you said something about like we're the bad guys here. Like, well, hold on. Like we may be attacking them, but we keep trying to de-escalate the situation.
That's not at all what I
That
got on
makes
my
us the
point of
good
view there.
guys.
There was no
No.
de-escalation to that. There was basically constant threats and escalation on your side.
Yeah, it was constant threat.
It was
It
constant
was,
threats
it
and
was.
escalations. and like I said, that
Well,
could
but
work.
well,
That could work against a lot of enemies that you're fighting.
yeah. I guess
That
if
could
it's-
definitely work. It was not going to work against her and these enemies in this situation.
Yeah.
And she knows how powerful you guys are. And unfortunately, she's probably too prideful and everything else that she wasn't going to stand down. And even when Salver's like, your crew's going to get killed. And she's thinking like, you already killed half my crew. Like, they're already getting killed. And she kind of accepts her fate pretty quickly. And she kept trying to even at one point, I think, call and say her crew to get out of there. And she stepped forward, very like martyrdom style. But then I think I had one of her crew just like rush up and attack, and everybody's just going crazy at that point.
Yeah.
Well, she was also last in initiative turn. I
That was
believe.
painful. Yeah.
And Salva was always first. So no
Yeah.
matter what she did, Salva would just react. So I think then she did the gravity well, so no one could really escape.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So by the time it was her time
So
to
I
react,
don't-
they've already been
I
doing
don't
a lot of
think
things.
I don't think she was in the. I don't think it was like she was in the wrong, but I don't think we were in the wrong either. Like they were aggressive
Players never
towards us
do.
players were aggressive to us from the outset. So I don't think there was any like there's probably supposed to be a
Were
wiggle
we?
room here.
I'm saying we like I am part of the or
The first thing
maybe-
that, from your point of view, the first thing that happened was a fog cloud went up. If you count fog
Yep.
cloud being cast as aggressive, then they were first aggressive.
Fog cloud went up, and then we heard splashes.
And you
around
heard
us.
splashes.
And then we tried to
So
talk
if you
to them,
count
and they
fog
would
cloud
not.
and splashes
no, hold on.
and
There's
silence.
three things. Three things.
Okay.
Fog cloud rolled in.
Okay.
We heard splashes around us.
Okay.
We tried to talk, and they would not answer.
Yep.
But why?
You
would
add up those
not-
three things. That is
And
somebody's
you're like,
fucking coming
we
for us.
gotta kill.
Yeah, someone is literally surrounding us and attacking us. So I think that's justifiable. It's like that's like someone shooting like smoke grenades into your base, and you're like, hold on, guys, maybe they're not aggressive. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
it's pretty fucking aggressive.
I love
I'm just
hearing the
justifying
argument
it.
of how much you guys are trying to justify it too, because I'm like, okay.
I mean, you could
I
argue.
think a lot of these fights.
who are you trying to convince here?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of these fights, they remind me a little bit of like scenes from The Walking Dead, where like neither side is really the good guy. It's just like we're encountering each other, and we both kind of know that one of us we're not going to be able to part amicably here. So like, there's some scene in Walking Dead where like one of my favorite scenes of that show where they're like in a bar, like some rundown bar with two other dudes, and they just talk for like 10 minutes. But the entire time you can tell that they all know that at the end of this conversation, one of them is going to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like we're being as amicable as we can, but just by virtue of the situation, both of us can't walk out of the room.
Yeah.
I think a lot of situations that we encounter in D&D are like that, where it's like,
I think the
you
annoying
can
thing though,
try, but like it's destined for violence just
well,
by
when one character keeps
virtue of
saying,
the
we just
situation.
want to talk, but like every turn they like kill somebody. That's like some villain shit to me.
But they're killing us.
In
the same
defense,
time.
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like at that point, it's like the Game of Thrones scene with what's her name? Brienne and the Hound. Where at some point they just kind of stopped talking. Like they could definitely have talked that out.
Yeah.
You know, but because they're both trying to kill each other, at some point it's like, well, they're only fighting out because the other one's trying to kill them. Right? So it's like at some point it falls apart, not because of, any actual social issues, just because the other person is actively swinging a sword at them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the Storm Maiden's crew was trying to get out, right? They were
We didn't
splashing.
know that. We did not know that.
Well, I would say
we
they were
knew
splashing in that
they were coming
direction.
at us.
Thank God they weren't children in that cave trying to escape very silently, and were
Yeah.
too
But
scared
if
to
they were,
respond. They would have been murdered.
but would children have cast Fog Cloud?
Maybe
You don't know
You
the
don't
children
know.
that caused Fog
Maybe they had
Cloud.
a magic item.
Children with magic powers that have Fog Cloud and are in an ancient cave that we know pirates are in? I don't think so.
I don't think
I think you
knew
don't know for
you don't know
sure
the
that the pirates were in
here.
there, right? You knew that the corridor was trapped.
We knew the pirates were here, right?
No,
No,
We came here because the pirates were here.
there was a hunch.
We came here because we got the map from what's his name, Callus, that had like the pirate.
You were told that these sites were important locations that he was sending the pirates to plunder.
Right. And we only got in here through violence by attacking giants.
That
Everything-
did
I
not
mean-
mess with you at first either.
No,
By the way.
also could have gotten out of that situation without fighting the Fomorians. What I'm basically learning is that the
there
only
actually
way
is
I get out of a situation without fighting is if Mac is the one to directly interact with the thing, such as the giant shark that we ended up at the end of the session.
But okay, hold on. By that logic, but the situation that we were in was very different where, like, if in Mac's situation, if he had started out by, trying to talk to the giant shark refused to respond, would it still have gone socially? Matt, I don't know Ray, if you can even answer this. Would you have continued to try to talk? Would you have still continued to... If the shark had not responded to you at all when you tried to talk to it,
Mm-hmm.
like, would you have continued to try to socialize with it, or would you have gotten aggressive?
Would you have then murdered said shark?
No, because what I'm trying to do lately is learn more of what's going on, right? Yeah, it might end up into a fight at first or later on, but trying to figure out, what's up. That's the reason for talking to the shark. It's like you said, he's kind of seemed agitated, and he's like maybe patrolling this area. So it's like, all right, what's going on? Do we just murder the shark because it looks ravaged, vicious, or maybe see what we can do and stealth, like, we're stealthing our way in and trying to figure out what's going on, without necessarily murdering everything in our sight.
Yeah. This also brings up another point that it's really hard to not metagame in these situations, because Heather did know that they were pirates. Like just Heather, not Sabra, but Heather did know that they were the enemy. And she knew that when she called out, she knew who she was calling out to. Like, so at some point, it's hard to separate yourself from the player a little bit in some situations, because we knew so much about what was actually going on in that fog cloud and who was in there.
Because of the virtual tabletop thing and the fact that tokens
Well,
were there. and all that.
just because Ray, and also because even without the virtual tabletop, Ray
Well,
was
that's
in
true.
there.
Yeah, you're getting that
So we could
perspective,
hear your conversation with Ray.
yeah. Sure.
So there is that too, that like, even at the best of times, like, you can't unhear things.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the last session, I think what I had said, like, if we had 0 of the Ray side of the story and 0 of the tabletop, I probably would have thought it was a monster, because like a fog cloud rolls in and then you hear water splashes around you. I probably would have thought that there was some creature in the water that was attacking us. I probably would have acted aggressively if it hadn't responded also. So I think it's hard to separate yourself from the metagame in some situations like that. But yeah. And also, like you said, a lot of our combat socializing is the stand down type. the like, all right, we've got the gun pointed towards your head, cool the fuck out. You know what I mean? That's a lot of our sort of not socializing. A lot of our like de-escalation is we've got you, calm down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this particular character wasn't going to do that.
Let me shoot you first and then calm down.
Yeah, I've shot you several times. I've shot you several times and I've killed your friends.
Again, trying to separate it from the meta. We didn't know they were there. We knew that there was something out there that was hostile, was coming for us. That's all we could figure out.
Eric said, what if it was like little children trying to escape?
Okay. I would actually love the DM to do that at one point and see how we react.
No, I'm not going to do that now.
I want the DM to describe a situation where someone casts darkness on us, and then we hear feet running up to us, and we have to react, and we strike out.
They weren't running to you though; they were jumping off.
They were jumping in the water around us. That is pretty fucking.
Look at how much he's like talking has to justify. We're gonna go around in circles arguing about this. Yeah, I don't want to go over it anymore. I was irritated, admittedly, but I do get irritated during a lot of scenes where players throw their weight around and just act like Homelander, basically, in all these situations where they're like, I have all the power, therefore you need to listen to me and do what I say. And I think a lot of NPCs.
I think it's more like
don't necessarily react
Rick
to that
Rick from
well.
Walking Dead. I think it's like we've got a gun to your head. Now calm down. That's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to do Homelander. We're not trying to do the like we're gods and you're nothing. We're trying to do the like we've got you. We're in control of the situation. Now we want you to calm down. That's what we're attempting. That's what we're. I'll tell you. I think that's what the players are attempting in these situations.
Yeah.
If they're failing in your eyes, sure, fine. But I think that's what the.
I think this was always going to be a very tricky situation to untangle. That was created, and I think it created one of our more memorable situations, probably in the campaign, for better or for worse. Because it ended up being very dramatic and ended up having some PvP in it and all that stuff. The dice told a little bit of the story.
Yeah.
But I mean, you do make a good point, though. I mean, as we're leveling up, we're more powerful. I know you're trying to balance it out by not having as many long rests, for example, to regain our powerful abilities. But that is probably the hard part, is like balancing, right? It's like, how strong do you make the Stormmaid and her crew to stand a chance? But
I mean, you really effectively combined two battles against each other last session,
right?
Where you came in with that crew and fought a big boss battle with them, and then
which weakened them, right?
Yeah, it killed one of them, and they were all very weakened. Not very. I think they were average around 50% hit points, and I think the Stormmaid was at like 75% hit points by the time that this battle started. Which is why she was thinking we need to escape because we just fought this big boss battle. We need to get out of here. Yeah. And then when they felt trapped, they're like, okay, we need to fight this out. But yeah, it was always going to be a tricky.
Lippy Spuds makes a good point.
Yeah.
Kalinar was like Homelander. The way Kalinar approached social situations was the Homelander style. The like, you do it or I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we err a little too close to that sometimes. So
yeah, trying to do another social situation with the shark.
Yeah, so to move on, and this was, again, I thought we'd be done with this session, this location after 2 sessions. Instead, it took almost a full 3 sessions because we had to deal with this full thing that ended up devolving into a full combat, which I was prepared for. And yeah, it ended up being just a full-on war zone here. Again, very dramatic at the end. This ended up being the big climax, which I didn't necessarily expect, but obviously I montaged us out of there. You got a ton of magic items.
Did you have a plan for if it hadn't gone violently, like what would have been the climax?
No, I didn't really have a plan. Okay. I mean, it's the situation had gone pear-shaped from my plans.
Yeah.
So I had
from the like just dungeon crawling that it might have been at one point.
I mean, here's the question I want to throw to Raymond. What did you expect with your deep undercover? Like, how far are you willing to go? Because at some point you guys escape, go back to her ship, and then and then what? Like you're gone from the campaign for a while. Like I don't know how far it goes
I know, right?
or how
No,
much
I
I
don't
should
think.
plan for that.
No, I don't think I'd do anything where I would just like now you're in two separate worlds.
Right.
Right.
With one character. I think I'd probably make it as far as the ship and try to have another social, like,
Get
what's your plan,
information.
or
Yeah.
do you know where Tendrix is, or
Mhm.
stuff like that. Because I'm assuming she's here under Tendrix's orders, or doing something for him, right? Or maybe you can't tell us that.
Well, she's
Um,
she's basically or he's basically her boss, and
right,
yeah, she's been sent out of the field to loot this place. Is the
right.
extension? So
So I might make it to the exit to the ship, get more information, which was what I was trying to do. I was like, all right, why is she, investigating this place, opening that sarcophagus? What does she want with this stuff? Um, and then just play that as much as possible, but in the end, not necessarily like go off with her, right? All of that was. I'm glad I didn't explain myself. I was about to say that. I'm glad I didn't explain myself to the party, but it probably helps that they could hear, me talking to you at the
Yeah.
same time. They're like, okay, here's what Ray is really doing. But no, that it was just to get more information, figure out what her plan was, and then at some point just disappear,
Slip
stealth
away,
off,
yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
that's
I don't.
probably what I was thinking in terms of me not having to
Mhm.
prepare like maps and whole other things.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I was just like, if this does end up being resolved amicably, then yeah, it would probably be just like a quick social scene that Mac would disappear with.
Mhm.
I will say though, if you guys had tried to solve it amicably, which would be difficult, if you try to take any of the magic items she looted, then that would also devolve into combat. So you would have also lost all those magic
Yeah.
items to resolve it diplomatically.
Which those magic items are pretty good. I just
They were
basically,
pretty good.
I basically just got a levels worth of magic items from that one lady.
Yeah, it's been pretty
The
good.
plate armor and the giant axe are both going to come in real handy.
Yeah.
And that shield is crazy. If you actually read the description, it's like it gives you a +2 AC on top of a shield's +2 AC.
On range
So
attacks, yeah.
Oh, is it specifically on range
It's
attacks?
specifically range attacks, yeah.
Okay.
Which is still pretty good.
Yeah.
But can't use it with two-handed weapons. You really got to pay attention
Yeah, that's
to
true. Yeah,
how
yeah.
you equip you. I never care about if you're pulling things out, but I will care about how many hands you have.
Yeah, exactly.
Your
What
living
hands are
situation.
holding what at any given time.
Yeah, so just in case, on the main prep work I did was all the next area, because the main prep I had to do is, okay, what if this ends up being almost a non-event and is over really quickly? I need to make sure I have as much of the next area prepared as possible. Instead, the opposite happened, where it's like we barely got into the next area,
Yeah.
which is
The way I see it for next time, I think, because it's been like 40 minutes now, all that diving. I think,
yeah.
I feel like Gottwald would get concerned enough
That's
to like just jump in afterwards at some point.
Maybe, but that's exactly why I didn't want to go in there.
I
is
love the
'cause
players
potion-
never. You guys make some plans, but there's never any like follow up in terms of like, okay, here's like a signal, or here's like there's always a phase 1 plan. There's never like a phase 2 plan where it's like
There's not really options for that. Like, what would phase 2 be? Like what would you imagine that we would do?
I don't know. I don't know what is all on
There
your
isn't
character
one.
sheets.
There
in terms
literally
of
isn't one.
things you
Yeah,
have.
there's just it just
I
doesn't
think
exist.
if I had a few more minutes to like interject at some point, maybe I would have
Use
scraped
cheese, maybe. I don't know.
use cheese, right? I would like scrape two things on the side of the ship, like jump in or don't jump, and then I would tell
use
cheese to
like
like point at which one.
That's yeah.
Something.
But I was like, I honestly didn't think we'd be diving that long. I thought maybe we'd just go down for 20 minutes and then just look around and then come back up.
Yeah.
But no, we
I've
just
got
kept
I've
going
got
further
two
and further.
potions of water breathing, but each one only lasts an hour. So I was like, yeah, that's why I wanted to send you guys in first. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
there is a limitation there.
You can go down, but you can't go back up.
That's right. I'm not gonna make it back up.
What do they call the PNR, point of no return? You got to make sure the
Exactly.
halfway
Yep,
point you
yep.
can still make it. Yeah.
Do you still have enough oxygen in the tank?
So this is another area. I obviously can't talk about it too much because we're just at the beginning of it, but that is from Call from the Deep, similar to the last area, one of the kind of open world locations. However, the last area is one where I used the dungeon skeletal structure and then rebuilt it with Roll20 that are assets. Shout out to Gabriel Picard. This area, I used a completely different map. Shout out to Seafoot Games at Patreon. And that allowed me to redesign the dungeon a little bit. But I'm keeping the theme and idea behind the dungeon intact, and then injecting a certain event that happened, which you guys are probably already realizing what's going on, since you found, obviously, the shark swimming out in front. And we're able to talk to the shark to get a lot of information, which I was not at all prepared for, because it never occurred to me that you could speak to the shark.
Yeah.
Even though I should realize that.
You're going to say
the shark is an animal, right? Like,
I did check that at some point halfway through the conversation. I didn't check it at first, admittedly, but it is classified as a beast.
Okay.
You were saying in between the session and the chat, like how we had stealth in, and I don't know if you're excited for that or what. And then I just started talking to him.
Well, no, I was fine with whatever it. To me, it just felt funny, because at that moment, it's like you have, your goal is to get past shark, and you have multiple options you can do that. You succeeded at one of those options, which was to sneak, and then you decided to stop, turn around, and engage said shark. I just think, taken out of context, that was just really funny to me. Because like, wait, you're gonna talk to the shark? You just snuck past it. But obviously, I appreciated the chance to role play there, even though I was wholly unprepared.
I think in my mind it was more like, I don't know but I was.
Did you just remember you had the ability, or what?
Yeah? Wait, hold on.
It seemed like you were already like moving into stealth, and I'm like, wait, no, I can talk to this guy.
No, I think it's just more like, as you kept describing the shark, like he's agitated, like knowing that there's blood around, but I think you still said this before I talked to him, but he just couldn't go towards it. I feel like you revealed that much information.
Yeah, I was given. I mean, you were. I was making you roll a lot of checks, right, to try and perception to figure out. Okay, it's a shark, and then it's got the rigging and stuff on it, which clues you into something you remember from the Sahuagin, which shit like that. I'm not gonna make you roll like a history check for. Like you just, your character would remember that, even if us players don't remember. It was like 6 months ago that we did that or whatever.
Right.
And then you rolled like a nat 20 on your animal handling, which I think that was the one where I had you guys stealth. That's it. You were stealthing successfully, and then I had both of you roll animal handling as you got near the shark, so that you could see, just kind of by looking at it, if it was, acting, it was agitated, so which it was. And you rolled a nat 20 and was like, oh, I need to give you like all the information then based on this.
So I think in that case, I felt he was more agitated and aggressive. And I was like, okay, if I can talk to the shark and maybe make a friend, as friendly Mac the turtle does.
Yeah.
If something happens that goes haywire, maybe the shark will be on my side just a little bit. It's like the thing where you, wait, what movie did we just watch?
I feel like that's a pretty classic trope with a lot of stuff. Is like
it is. You help it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then like later on, it helps you back.
Right. It's what is it? The lion and the thorn or whatever. That's the fable. It's like helped it out. Yeah.
So that was the reason I decided to talk to the shark.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I got this ability that it's a ranger ability. Yeah. But that's my whole goal. So
I struggled at first because of the way it says they're limited by their intelligence.
Hey, if you can train a shark, then it's intelligent.
Well, so here's the idea, right? I'm thinking like, okay, that's, speak with animals. I've done that different ways, where it's like the animal can just like grunt and give you basic things, or it only like literally knows what like a pig knows or whatever, so it can't really speak in terms of, it just knows basic like food, hungry, person went that way, like whatever.
Right.
But I did realize pretty quickly that Sahuagin literally have on their stat block that they can telepathically speak to sharks. Now, you weren't doing it telepathically, but whatever. And that's how they can like control and summon and like speak to them and have them with, train them and all this other shit. So when you came out and started speaking with it, I was like, well, shit, this might not be unusual for this shark to have creatures speaking with it, basically. So this is actually an interesting opportunity to have like a full-on role-playing session, as if this was like an NPC being left to guard the area.
I feel like
albeit with a unique
kind of did
parameter.
in Icewind, not Icewind, Rime of the Frost Maiden too, though. Like they were, because Reese was talking animals left and right in Icewind, and you were doing kind of the more the Baldur's Gate 3 thing where they could speak full on English and you could have conversations with them.
That one, I would have to remember the context, but that specific campaign had a lot of awakened animals that were literally sentient. I know that was the case with like the fox you guys hated. I think there was at least one more character where they were literally like awakened from, I think that evil druid lady or whatever was casting awakened animal. Like a lot of the frost druid ladies could.
It's an interesting question. I mean, like Baldur's Gate 3 literally
it's a straight up conversation.
Full on the other direction. Which they've got fully the intelligence of a human when you talk to them, and they can have conversations
with funny voices, which honestly I think is great. And they've been doing that earlier since Baldur's Gate. They've been doing it all the way since the first Divinity Original Sin game, where you could talk to all the animals and they were all just hilarious. So I think I've definitely taken that to heart as well. And I think this was a situation where I'm like, it's just more enjoyable, right? To like have this funny conversation.
Yeah.
And you're still using a spell slot to do it. It's not like you're, not doing anything to do it. So yeah, I thought that was very fun. And we had a pretty long conversation. I did have you roll checks though, as part of your bullshit. But I thought that I've run into this situation before where it's like, okay, it's deception, but also you're speaking with an animal. So maybe animal handling would be part of it. So I kind of combined the two, which is something you can, a rule you can do that is rarely done, but you can actually use use whatever attribute the DM tells you with whatever skill. It just defaults to the ones that we're familiar with.
Right.
But technically you could use like strength with intimidation, for example. You're literally just sitting there,
which is
like,
the prime example of like
or
like you like bending somebody's arm back to intimidate them. Like, that's a strength intimidation check. Yeah.
Right. And the formula for that is you still use your whatever that attribute is, and then you would add if you've got the skill, whatever that plus proficiency bonus is, basically. Yeah. Which you weren't proficient, but I just let you roll the +1 because I think that's what it ended up being from your charisma bonus anyway. So it was a little better than a normal. It was basically a combination, really, of your deception and animal handling is what it ended up being.
Yeah.
And hopefully Reese didn't mind. He was looking kind of bored, so that's why I named the shark.
Reese wasn't bored. Reese, it was getting late. Reese was fading.
Yeah, he's fading.
You got to understand that come at least my time, 9:30.
It was getting late.
He just starts to dip. Yeah.
So the tricky thing I'll say from my point of view is the other dungeon took so long. But it didn't take quite long enough where it's like I don't want to end it here like on a long rest. We have it's like 11:30. We had half an hour left. We haven't even been to the new location yet. I need to make sure they step foot in there. So then we get here, and as soon as we get here, I'm like, all right, I got to find a stopping point at some point, but I don't know when that's going to be.
Right.
So then we're having this shark conversation going, this is fun, but this is also like probably the last thing we're going to do because this ends up being, because at first I thought you were going to stealth inside. Like, okay, we'll get to like a room or two and we'll see what's going on from there. But then you stop into the conversation. Like, okay, this conversation is going to be probably the last thing that happens.
It's got to be it.
Yeah. It's got to be it. Yeah. But I did love that conversation. That was a fun opportunity, and the chance to role play creatures that are normally not interacted with diplomatically, I think is some of the funnest, most fun, enjoyable aspects of DMing, because that's when you can really pull out the silly voices and the weird mannerisms and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this last campaign. Halfway through with like Edmund, I think I had some sort of awakening or something. It's like, combat's fun, but at some point, all these years of like, click, 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 it's like,
right.
What else could you? And
what else can I do?
I mean, I think I was also inspired by like Chris, his characters, Kalinar, or I forget who else you had. Man, Chris is usually a talkative character.
Yeah.
Oh, right. The ones that are.
If you look at
Manic, or Valravn is the most talkative.
Manic's did some talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Valravn. That was with the Edmund as well.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
I mean, for everybody who watches all the previous campaigns, like Chris probably did like 75% of the player talking.
Right.
Raise your hand if you were the theater kid.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That is true. So yeah, I think from then on it's like, all right, let's see what situations to role play and
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I think probably you and Savra might be the main talkers here in this campaign, depending on the situation. Yeah, and it's been I think it's been fun. It's been fun having all these different interactions and partly what I try to do is just throw different situations at you guys and combat is always on the table. Obviously, the whole game is built for combat, if we're being honest.
Right.
But I think, Ray, you probably understand more than most that, like, every situation is also an opportunity for something else. And a lot of times, I'm willing to go there. Sometimes I'm not.
That's my mental block with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I had your skill, Ray, but I always end up blocking myself with like, well, there's no mechanic for this, so I'm not going to try it. Like it doesn't mechanically work for me in my head, so I'm not going to even try it. You're just like, I've got an idea, and I want to like let's see if this can work.
Yeah.
How can this possibly work?
He's like, how big is this person's foot? And I'm like, what are you trying to do?
Exactly. What are we doing here?
What are we doing? Let me tell you what we're doing, and we'll try to find a path. Yeah, and it doesn't always work, but I appreciate that you try like almost every time to do something out of the box, because when it does work, it is really special and memorable. And sometimes the dice tell the story, which I just loved you missing the attacks on the Stormmaiden. Was just
straight up couldn't shoot that maiden.
God, you joined the Stormmaiden's party and immediately started rolling like me. We're just the shit in the bed left and right.
That part was thematic, but I'll be honest, Ray's dice during that entire fight were garbage. Like
yeah.
Everything you were trying to roll.
So were mine for the most part. I think I was getting. Granted, she was throwing up shields, but like I could not hit worth shit on most things.
It helped that I went down at some point because then I'd have to make a decision on what to do next.
That muddle debuff is terrifying.
It's bad.
Also, it does a lot of damage and has this ongoing D6 of like constant debuff and intelligence.
At one point, I said this. I had the thought of like, oh, this is revenge, because I remember in Rime
you would do that and hit her.
Valravn doing that to Frey, and Heather having like an entire fight where she had a D6 on everything. And she was so mad about it. I'm like, that's
literally got you with this one. Yeah.
Yep.
Which makes you wonder, could you make an enemy with these same skills, right? Like,
with the Synaptic Statics spell,
sure,
you could. That would fucking fuck us over pretty good.
Yeah. Honestly, you don't fight too many high-level spellcasters in a lot of campaigns, I've noticed.
It's true.
Why not just throw one in?
Right. Yeah,
I feel like what you could probably do is have like a character that is technically a high level spellcaster, but is like a one trick pony, like a one trick pony. Like they've got one good spell they're going to use at the beginning of combat, and then beyond that they're a low level spellcaster.
Honestly, most spellcasters don't survive more than 2 or 3 rounds. Anyway.
Exactly,
they
get to do their one big thing.
I'm nuking the big stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. I know. I couldn't find... That's a good point, Demnix. I could not find a chance to use the javelin. First of all, if she throws it, she doesn't have it anymore. So that's awkward.
You don't even bring it back to you? I didn't fully read the thing.
I don't... Well, maybe you... Well, I don't know, actually. Maybe I should have read it.
I didn't fully read it.
That's a good point.
I took it.
but the party was actually separated almost from the beginning. Toril, like, ran into... the other side to like res Mac.
Oh yeah.
And then Gottwald was down to the south. So by the time she could throw it, like at best she's hitting 2 people with it, I think, which maybe that's fine. But if there was ever a chance to get the party grouped up, she definitely would have hurled that thing.
Right.
Does it. So I was disappointed I didn't get to use it, but I thought like, oh, it's probably better if I just stab with it, but then she fucking like missed all her attacks.
It doesn't sound like it comes back.
It doesn't sound like it comes back, yeah. The lightning bolt turns back into a javelin when it reaches the target. Yeah, so if you throw it, I assume you just throw it at the target. Granted, it does do some good damage, but...
It does good damage, but then you have to go get it later.
And then she doesn't have it anymore, which she just had a spear in her inventory she could use, but...
Right.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance. So that was the main reason. Had I rolled better initiative and been able to react earlier and be able to catch more of the party, she probably would have thrown it, but... I was trying to play her intelligently, like, I really got to nuke a lot of people with this because I'll lose it, basically, if I roll it. And she was thinking that was not going to be a good situation if she did.
Yep.
Yeah, at one point I thought about saving the Iron or Storm Maiden one last time because I do have one more. I do actually have another potion of gaseous form.
Oh wow.
It didn't sound like she wanted to be saved there at the end.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, I think she was in full fight mode there.
But yeah, at that point there was no more reward for saving her either.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like what else were we gonna? Yeah,
Probably
Yeah,
not.
we-
And
we,
again-
we got the compass. We can kind of guess what the compass does. So
yeah,
that's
and
probably
the
best,
context
yeah.
again wasn't that she was a random person that you came by. That was something, she was working for the villain. She knows about you guys. She knows you're
Yeah.
dangerous. She paints you as the enemy. So again, when we even started that, you picture like a video game that has the like disposition, like,
Right.
rating or something, and they're somewhere neutral.
Hostile is where she is.
Right, and she's all the way in hostile, and then you basically start by like threatening and all that. Then that's gonna, not end up being too terribly diplomatic.
Yep.
Anything else about this highly charged episode session of Call from the Deep? We finally finished the Iron Hand Cairn area, and now we're going to this other underwater. You knew there was gonna be more underwater content.
Not to put too much of a spot on you.
Yeah.
But I odds are at some point you're gonna have to give me a cure curse scroll or something because I'm never gonna make that save,
Oh,
man. It's
man.
a DC 15.
That's true. No, it was a 14.
14.
Yeah.
14. DC 14. But
You know-
my odds are 6 of 20. That's my odds of rolling that once a day.
I made that observation this session where it's like, yeah, this is the least. I don't want to say least supportive. That's not the right word, but like the least buff.
But yeah.
Buffable. I don't, usually somebody's playing a cleric or a
Yes.
bard or something where you or artificer where you guys can have some ability that like enhances your ability. You guys
Now,
are the
not a lot
most
of
like,
not a lot of buff spells would have helped me on
I know.
tonight because it was 3-2.
three.
well, that's true.
But yes, I don't like you say like a bless
Something that would help you recover from
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, like we've always had somebody had. This is the most DPS heavy party, and just
Yeah.
like tanky, and like everybody's just built for straight combat and not really for like utility or support or anything necessarily. And so
Yeah.
I noticed that this session where you're like, oh, I'm hat in hand trying to go to every person trying to ask for just any kind of help, and I'm not
Any
getting
help,
it. And everybody's
yeah.
just like, I got nothing, man. I got
yeah.
back pulling a sword out, going, "Fist up."
I can cut off the mutated areas.
You talk about Walking
Oh,
Dead.
that's mutated. Oh, that's mutated.
Yep.
I mean, how bad would it be if like a cleric just all of a sudden came out of our ship and it's like, oh, I just woke up.
Well, that's the other option is, you need to find a safe port and like pay for remove curse.
which would be
but,
fine.
but maybe
That's-
you could
yeah.
find, what's funny is we always throw away those remove curse scrolls, but maybe you could find something that does that.
I've never thrown one away. we throw them in our inventory and then
Right.
forget they're there. That's what we
forget
do.
they're there. Yeah. But I'm just saying it usually not very relevant. And this one it's
Yeah,
suddenly
exactly.
very relevant. So
Yep.
yeah.
But no, I mean, for like,
It's
legit,
fine though. I honestly, because I just got a huge level up from those items. I'm kind of okay right now, but I'm still like, yeah.
I give
still
it
have
the
disadvantage.
taketh away.
Yeah, exactly.
That was just a creature's ability too. That's crazy. They can just
It is.
curse and with like one of their I think
is that like,
I think we're at the level though where the idea is, you go into town and there's someone who's got the remove curse.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it greater restoration? I forget what spell it is that actually removes.
I think
curses.
there might I think it's literally remove curse.
A remove curse?
Possibly.
is this the
Let's
first
see.
time that
Yeah, there's
one
a
of
remove
us-
curse spell.
Yeah, there's a remove
is
curse.
this the,
spell.
It's only a 3rd level spell, so it's not even that high of a level
Yeah.
spell. So
Is this
I think the logic is like once at the point in the game where you're fighting Fomorians, you should have access to cities and gold
Yeah.
enough to pay someone to cure your
To
curse.
cure the yeah, so it's a
somewhere.
question of trying to get out of the get to the next safe haven part of it.
Yeah.
And get that taken care of. But the dangerous thing is like we observed, like, oh, we may be entering like the next adventure location. I'm still cursed. Like that sucks.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. There's no safe haven between here and there.
Yeah.
is this the first time one of us has been afflicted with something that disability? Something like, because
The one that I compared it to the other week was Rochelle's death, where she spent like 5 or 6 weeks as a zombie.
Yeah.
I
Which
guess
is
I'm
worse.
thinking
It's
of,
worse than this because I only have disadvantage on strength, which is
Yeah.
Which
granted
is
my whole thing.
worse. I'm not a zombie.
But she literally lost all of her abilities.
Yeah, her
like,
character was straight
and-
up killed. That was.
Yeah.
No, I was just thinking of like all the lichens we fought in the past, and we're all like trying to get bit. and stuff.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
That's a good. I'll point it back to the chat. If usually folks have much more encyclopedic knowledge, I didn't really just sell like a wiki or something. I feel like.
Yeah,
and
who in our campaigns have been afflicted with an ongoing
an
curse
ongoing
or
curse.
affliction?
Does Frey count?
Didn't she come baked in with that though?
Yes.
Like that wasn't that part of her character? Like character creation.
It was a secret, which
Okay.
was passed out in session 0. So technically, you guys didn't design your characters around them, but they were given to
Right.
you before the campaign started.
I feel like that's kind of like
That's kind of an asterisk.
she's not afflicted by it because it is baked into her. Also, she loved it. So
Also, she loved it.
so it's not really an affliction in that regard either.
Yeah. She really loved going PvP on the party. Like anyone wants to. I think at one point I even had an idea for her to like cure herself through something, and then she was like, "Nah, I'm good."
No, it's all right. It's all right.
I'm okay with my demons. Yeah, that's a good question. If somebody's been afflicted, I mean, lingering injuries have certainly. In fact, there's ongoing. We've completely forgot. You guys, some of you are afflicted right now
That's
with lingering
true.
injuries. Ongoing is
Yeah.
probably the closest thing to that, basically, where somebody's been, which I think has also been Rochelle's characters in the past, where it's like, oh, I've been, I don't know, blinded or something for the next couple sessions. Like that's probably the closest equivalent is the lingering injury
Right,
system.
yeah.
Or is it the Monkey Men?
Kalessa's Monkey Madness. I don't even remember that, but
Yeah, that did affect some of you guys at some points,
Yeah.
which was those were ongoing thing. Those
Yeah.
were on a timer. Technically, they would last for like a certain amount of hours or days. And this one is
So-
technically infinite, but you do get saving throws on it. So,
yeah.
but that's the nasty part, the fact that it keeps on like long after the battle.
Right.
All right, this has been a crazy long chat, but I'm glad we got to decompress from everything. But yeah, we'll look forward to doing this extra area with apparently half the party. I don't, but we'll figure it out.
Let's see how this goes.
I also wasn't
At what point me and Sabra decided to join the
to
fray?
join the fight. It goes that long.
We're gonna wait for them to come back.
I'm gonna have to come up with an encounter, like another ship on the horizon, just to keep you guys busy. I guess, just in case.
I
All right.
assume they will come back at some point once they have some more
You
information.
guys didn't even discuss like a time. Like what? Like at what point do we go in searching for? That's what I mean. And I don't.
If we're not backed by
yelling at
X.
you guys for like that's just that all D&D players. This is such a thing where it's like we develop a plan, but we don't actually have a good like follow up to that plan. Nobody has like phones or anything, so you're limited on how you follow up. But yeah, there was. It's just like, nope, we're diving in.
I'm trying to imagine like real life divers if they would have something like that where it's like,
Yeah,
okay, if we don't come back up in X hours,
I think at the minimum
What?
you discuss the time frame. Yeah, or it's like you fucking need to come in after that.
at what point do you come in?
Yeah. All right. That is going to do it for this week's chat from the deep. Thank you to Chris and Raymond. Thank you to all the wonderful fans for watching, and we will see you all next time.
Good night.